Hey everybody, welcome to the Playbook edition of my Return to the Top live stream podcast. Today I'll be sharing a few valuable lessons that I learned in my interview that I had with Ray Forrester in episode number 8 of my Return to the Top live stream podcast. And I decided to call this lesson Mana Fundamentals. And for those of you who are familiar with the term mana, right, we as Polynesians define it as power, influence, or some type of energy that we share, right? And mana is a term that Ray Forrester used in his business model, right, and his mantra as far as what he applies in his life with his family. And I wanted to share that with you today as far as some of the things that I learned from Ray that will help us who are trying to achieve our goals, the things that we can use in order to empower ourselves to accomplish those goals that we achieved, right? And so the name of his business is Fundamental HQ. And it's a very interesting term. I mean, as far as how Ray breaks it down, right? He breaks it down like this, right? He calls it fundamental. He breaks it down into fun and mental, right? So when we're trying to achieve our goals, right? If we're wanting to set and achieve sustainable goals, right? In order for us to do so, right? First thing we got to do is find the fun in it. What does that mean, right? We need to enjoy the process and we need to be passionate about what we're doing, right? For people who are wanting to start a business, right? I've learned through many influencers, many successful entrepreneurs that, right, in order for you to, or majority of people who have successful businesses are because they're passionate about what they do, right? And so that was the fun part of what Ray was talking about. And then the other part was the mental, right? What does that mean, mental? For me, or as far as the things that I've learned from Ray, right, we need to make sure that not only do we know what we're passionate about, but we need to make sure that there's a purpose, right? We need to make sure that there's something, right, or an end goal that we have that will drive us, right, especially through the ugly times. And that's what it talks about mostly is, right, as we are on our path to achieve our goal, right, there's going to be some bumps on the road. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be all cupcakes and rainbows, right? There's going to be some times or some nights where we have to do extra things. We have to do things that we're not comfortable with, things that we don't necessarily enjoy doing, right? But if we think about the end goal and if we use that purpose to drive us to achieve our goal, right, it's going to help us get over the hump of many different challenges, obstacles, right, barriers, a lot of things that we talked about before in previous episodes. And the last thing that I wanted to mention, and I kind of drew it in a triangle. For those of you who are familiar, Ray, part of his model is called 3D mana, right? So it's a three-dimensional type deal, but I drew my own 3D type. So I'm not copying Ray, but I drew my own 3D, and it includes the fun and the mental. And then the last part, it's called Leave It Better. And I want to talk a little bit more about that Leave It Better. Ray kind of mentioned in his interview that that's kind of the mantra that he lives by, right? Leave it better. And when you think about it, right, he talks about how whenever he does something or whenever he goes out and performs some sort of service, or whenever he sees something, right, or does something, he always tries to make sure that he leaves it better than when he found it, right? And for me, when I think of these fundamentals, I think of how we can always improve or how we can always get closer to our goals, right? Even if it's a small type of action that we take in order to get closer to our goals, right? We're still improving, right? And we're still, right, making progress towards our goal. And that's what it's about, right? Not only understanding that, hey, in order for us to be successful or achieve our goals, right, we need to make sure, right, that we're enjoying the process. We need to make sure that we understand that it's gonna be a bumpy road. It ain't gonna be perfect. And then the last part, right, we need to understand that in order to achieve our goal, right, we need to make sure that we're improving each and every day, or we're making sure that we're setting smaller goals to attain that big goal, right? My name is Tori Talongo. This is the Playbook edition of my Return to the Top live stream podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Let's stick with the fundamentals. All right.